Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Citizen Sleeper 2, where today we need to make some money, we need to make some connections, we need to figure out how in the hell we're going to get this ship up and running so that we can leave Hexport. The good news is we've unlocked Factory Row, and with it, a job that we're pretty good at. Somebody's got to move all this stuff, and you know what people lock on is competence. They want the competent robot on their team. So we can definitely throw some dice at this. What does a 5 come out? 5 is 50% positive, 50% neutral. I'm going to throw our 4 and our 5 at this, reading as 5 and 6, and let's see how much that gets us. Alright, positive outcome, great news. You understand the code system used to assign the supplies and make a rapid delivery. The other haulers pass on part of their earnings. Not only did we get 2 marks on trusted supplier, but we also made a little bit of money, and now we're going to throw in a die that's guaranteed to get that result again. And let us quickly become trusted. It doesn't take very long to become trusted around here. They must be pretty desperate. Factory Row howls as you glide through its cramped passages. Whatever its many bays and rooms once were, they now serve as containers for industry of every kind. Whirring manufactories precisely engineer components with rapidly shifting arms, while scrappers hammer incessantly at bent ship plates. Everywhere you look, there's energy and activity, and for good reason. Hexport itself is built on the derelict fragments of a solar reflector, and even the small amount of energy generated by its remaining mirrors is enough to power a city of machines. It is familiar to you, of course, in a strange, far-off way, because of Darkside. That place and your memories of it are a muddy haze, but it is hard to forget the glint of its hexagonal reflectors, 10 or 20 times more in number than Hexport's, and that wild, flickering city growing on their back like a tumor. In comparison, Hexport feels provincial, but deep in Factory Row, you could almost be back in Darkside. And then you see them. Tubes, just like those Seraphim had waved in your face. The feed lines. You push over to the display window of the unit marked Karsten's Supply in block capitals, cut from hull plate. There, amongst an angled shelf of oversized ship components, sit the feed lines, like some large biomechanical tangle of snakes. You slip inside, where the sound of Factory Row is a little screened, and spot a large figure working at a bench. Hunched over, concentrating. It seems he doesn't notice you enter. Yeah, this is not a wait patiently character, right? Hello? A sharp eye glints as the figure looks over his shoulder. Can I help you? His accent is heavy, apparently, but unknown to you. It's a nice place you have. You see little reaction from the profile of Karsten's face. He grunts. Something you need? Before you can respond, he tracks your eyes to the feed lines in the window. He looks back at you with a subtly changed expression, one you can't quite place. He turns with surprising grace and begins cleaning his hands on a cloth. Those sharp eyes scan you, but Karsten's thick-set features do not betray the results of his assessment. Custom built those, for a client that never collected. He looks at his hands while he speaks, checking for stray oil stains. You have one of the old MEVs, then? He sounds out the letters in a way you don't recognize as he speaks. I need to get my vocal direction before the words. You try to recall anything you know about your ship, but the memories elude you. Perhaps Seraphim should have come along. Yeah, that's right. Bold. Karsten nods. Always good to see one of those still running. Look, Karsten drifts over to where you're standing, his imposing height evident. For a fellow enthusiast like you, he continues in a distinctive monotone. Let's say a few hundred cryo, on clean chits. He shoots a glance at the feed lines. 400, let's say, to be precise. 400. 400. Karsten says back, repeating your question without the emphasis. It's expensive, I know. It's a shame, but it's just what they are worth. He screws up his mouth a little, into something that might be a smile. However, I'm more of the bartering type myself, anyway. Yeah, barter sounds good. Barter sounds a hell of a lot better than 400. Karsten nods sagely. There's a little favor I need a crew for, and, well, you look like you might be a good fit. He tucks the cloth away in a pocket and clasps his hands. I know of an old Solheim wreck out there. Very old. Pre-collapse. It's tucked away in a dead zone, so no one has ever really cut it. He shrugs. Not only that, but Solheim derelicts have a habit of triggering nasty security protocols when approached by an unfamiliar ship. So it's been left well alone. But a salvager like you with an old Solheim rig, I bet it wouldn't even flinch if it saw you coming. He smiles. I have a special interest. Hey, same. A need for that old tech. All those Solheim ships had a data core. And while I don't care about the accounting reports or material ledgers or whatever they kept on the damn thing, I do care about the hardware. So if I was to find you back here with that data core in your cargo hold, clean cut and complete, well then, I could see my way to doing a straight barter for those feed lines. Karsten pauses and sniffs at the air again. You'd, just need the coordinates. Simple as that? Simple as that. I don't think our character asks what he needs it for because I don't think we're the type to look for a complication. We're not afraid of one if it shows up, but we're also not trying to get ourselves into trouble. So, you interested? He glances back at his workbench. Because I'm a busy man. Yeah, no, that sounds very doable. That sounds well within my skill set. I love scrapping things. All right then. He holds out a heavy hand for you to shake, and as you automatically reach out, he grabs your forearm instead. Karsten pulls you closer, squeezing your arm. Let's keep this one between us, all right? He half smiles, his face huge and close. It's our deal. Before you can respond, he thumbs a little drive into your palm. Those coordinates. And then he lets go of your arm with what you swear is a wink. You take a moment to gather yourself, and by the time you do, a whirring fills the air, Karsten having returned to his workbench. You turn and glide out of Karsten's supply with a growing mix of anxiety and excitement in the pit of your stomach, and the cacophony of Factory Row in your ears. A contract. Seraphim might even be impressed. You look at the drive in your palm and smile. This could be a route out. You think of leaving this place behind, in possession of an improved ship, too. Suddenly, a small but firm hand falls on your back, an equally small voice coming with it. Hey, wait up! You turn in the passage to see a young woman, her hair waving from the rapid glide she clearly just came out of to catch you. She steadies herself using your shoulder. Sorry. She smiles a quick and flat smile. I wanted to catch you. I'm Juni. Her dark eyes flick around nervously. You notice the portable terminal she carries, something data scrapers call a deck, and her backpack full of components and trailing wires. She introduced herself, so no, one would not assume that we know her. What's up? Karsten, she starts, still catching her breath. He sent me to grab you. She smiles that flat smile again. Wants me to come with you on that job. Her eyes shoot down to the drive in the palm of your hand. She smiles again. Yeah? Why didn't he tell me? She glances back toward Karsten's. I guess he forgot. He does that sometimes. She looks sheepishly at you. He just grabbed me after you two were done talking, so... Karsten's always sending me on things like this. I guess he wants me to help you out. You keep an eye on things? She pauses. I can be pretty helpful. So, she looks around the passage. Should I meet you at your ship and you can tell me when you're ready to go? I do not trust this small person. The question is, what is my concern here? Am I afraid of getting taken advantage of? Am I afraid of sabotage? Because if this is just somebody trying to get by, we can pretend not to notice that this story doesn't seem right, and just help them get by, right? I'm gonna say I'm not sure, because I really it really is it's a weird approach. She looks nervous. Sure. I mean, you aren't sure when you're leaving? No, I'm not sure you're coming. She pauses, thinking. I mean, Karsten said I need to go. She glances back in the shop's direction. And he does get pretty mad when people don't do what he asks. She shrugs. Yeah, let's see. Okay. She glances around. I mean, Karsten doesn't like waiting, but it's up to you. Juni pushes off and waves. Looking forward to working with you, she calls back as an afterthought. And what about the ship? Oh, I'll find it, she calls back, and then disappears down the passage. You watch her go, glad of the contract, but nervous, too. Will Karsten keep up his side of the bargain if you deliver? That's not the part I'm really worried about. I don't know about this, Sleeper. Seraphin looks nervously out of the rig's windows as you finish explaining Karsten's deal, as well as Juni's offer of help. If this job was easy, Karsten would have done it himself already, and that means there's a catch. Well, I feel like he explained to us what the catch was, that there might be some security protocol that will annihilate us. He frowns at the stars, and there's definitely something going on with this Juni girl. He shakes his head. I think it's a lucky break. Seraphin gives you a look. No such thing. This is the belt. I mean, someone's getting dicked over in all this. We just have to make sure it isn't us. What if... Seraphin narrows his eyes. What if we could get the cryo together to buy the feed lines? Is that even possible? It's a very large number. Well, I have found a contract board at the exchange further in station. He gestures toward Hexport. And we take on a job, that might get us some of the way toward buying them. Plus, even if we do want to take Karsten's job, a bit of money to get ourselves prepared wouldn't be a bad idea. Fill up on fuel and supplies, be ready for whatever comes. Do we have time? Probably not, but without cryo for fuel and supplies, we aren't going anywhere. Just take a look at the contract board, see what you think. And while you're at it, you might want to see if you can scare up some freelance crew, too. Seraphin shrugs. Many hands make light work and all that. Or we stop messing around, we take Karsten's job right now and get it done before he can think twice. Seraphin yawns. Seems like a whole set of bad options to me. Either way, I've still got work to do on the drive. Seraphin nods a farewell, heading back to the engine room. You let me know what you decide. For a moment, you pause, letting the haze of plans and ideas settle in your mind. Suddenly, you curl up, pain shooting along your spine. You grit your teeth, your muscles locked tight. Your vision narrows as you squeeze your eyes shut. You feel a shift, as if some connection is broken. It's almost impossible to describe, like you're floating away from your body, dispersing, dissolving. There's nothing familiar in the pain, nothing to hold on to. You grit your teeth. And then another shift comes, and you're back in your body, trembling against the metal wall of the passage. The pain slowly fades, becoming a pulsing throb, then a residual flicker. You flex in 0G, stretching out the tension. There's a strange sensation of distance that persists beyond the pain. A disconnection between your body and yourself, a flickering numbness that refuses to recede. You wonder if the reboot has done something to your body, or if this is some new sensation you'll have to live with indefinitely. It strikes you that you know so little about the body that houses you. It could be moments away from collapse, or it might persevere for countless cycles like this. You try to shake off the feeling, pushing your hands against each other until they feel like they're yours again. Time is the only thing you need, and right now, it feels like it's running out, fast. You head for the airlock. You have work to do. Okay. So, open the map screen to view the contract. Contracts are high-risk, high-reward jobs that you and your crew can take on. Contracts require preparation and care to succeed. You'll need to gather enough fuel to travel to the contract, which is going to be a problem for us right now. Gather as many supplies as you can afford to keep you and your crew going. Look for opportunities to recruit crew, temporarily or permanently, to help you on the contract. And consider which crew to take carefully. They have different skills and stress resistances, and who you choose can affect the story. Once you're ready, you select a contract from the map, and then your crew to succeed. So, it's going to cost us 3 fuel. Is that 3 fuel? I'm assuming that's 3 fuel round trip. 3 fuel out and back. So that's got to get resolved before anything else. Okay. What else do we have available here? We can just take some shifts. We can sell some scrap if we have some raw scrap. Engineering and interfacing here. Go work for the scrapyard, or data diffusal is really not our thing. Data stuff in general, really not our thing. Karsten wants the data core from the Solheim derelict, right? Yeah. Working on it. Okay, here's that contract board. So if we put in 10 cryo, we get a signal to go out and locate a Conway signal and disable the signal source. So the thing is, like, I don't really want Karsten to feel like I'm not taking his offer seriously. I think it's a good idea to, like, I know I might be, like, running myself into a grave danger here. But I think it's a good idea to, like, pick somebody that you're going to try to get in with and like, take that seriously. Commit to that relationship. So what I would like to do is just purchase some fuel and get going if we can. But actually, I don't know how to get more fuel. Okay, yep, that's where we will put the felines when we get them. Here's the kitchen, here's the sleeping quarters. Yeah, how, like, literally, how do I acquire more fuel? Because here we can just play poker, we can buy food for myself, which is not, you know, it's not a thing to ignore. That just makes me some money. And there aren't any nodes that we haven't seen here yet. I guess maybe I need to fill out the rules of the exchange. I don't have full familiarity with the place where all the shopping is done yet. I guess that must be the case. Okay. Well, the good news is we can trade scrap here with a guaranteed positive on the danger. Okay, a little more cryo and a new location discovered. You make a reasonable deal on a cache of air filters, and the buyer remarks on your good business sense, revealing to us the Hexport Trade Hall. Okay, yeah, this was exactly what we needed. So we can buy fuel, we can hit fuel capacity in a single order, which for us right now is exactly the same price as just buying some, you know, buying the 5 individually. We can also buy some more supplies. So I do think that it behooves us to do this. And then the question is just, do we want to buy supplies? We could go up to 4 supplies with just the money that we have on us. I have 2 dice left. So, like, we could work a little bit, make some money, buy supplies, probably buy a meal, and then with the last die, like, rest or something. But, like, I think we're basically ready to do this. So there's some freight loading here that we can hit with a 4 and be pretty likely to get it right, and it's only risky if we get it wrong. let's see what this does. The warehouses at the Hexport docks supply the industrial operations of the station. Let's try to load and restock. Okay, neutral outcome is more than it costs to buy food. So we will go down and buy a Ben's Fry, because I'm curious, and I've been curious the whole time. Okay, 2 energy. Not bad. You squeeze your bag and crunch a handful of crisp and greasy radishes and potatoes. Not bad at all. No, that sounds pretty alright. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and buy supplies. Do we want to go down to... because we haven't met any other crew. I guess the question is, like, if we go to the map here and we click to run this. Okay, I need to... How do I make sure that my crew is set up? Because I don't want to commit myself into a UI here without the people that we need to do this. Is this... hold on, I clicked it, it brought me in here. Find a new crew member. But none of these nodes are the way that I interact with Nia, right? I guess maybe it's just when we click to the next button on that interface, or when we click to the next interface through that button, it'll show us the crew that we have available. I'm going to go ahead and pay for the other supplies. We'll see if this is a bad idea. And let's just go for it. Like I said, show that we are taking this job seriously. Okay, so here we go. Nia is not available for this one. Seraphim is locked in. You are... okay, so, like, this is a weird way of representing these skills. I would have thought that this meant these 2 skills are positive for this character, but maybe it's showing us that these 2 skills are at the neutral level for Seraphim, and you have that skill at plus. Also, I do wish that they would not just use the icons, because I don't remember the icons well enough to remember which one is the one that I have. And I really wish that there was, like, a mouse over. Yeah, alright. We'll take Juni. We'll just see what happens. I'm a little nervous about it, but I'm relatively tough, and I'm ready to airlock her. The Solheim derelict fills the cockpit windows. Okay, so I did that without spending my last die, because I wasn't sure how it was going to affect the dice we had for the day. I didn't know if it was like a thing that would resolve separately, but I maybe should have used that last die, given that it has given us a whole new setup. The Solheim derelict fills the cockpit windows, all twisted plates and skeletal strutwork. You watched it in horror and fascination as Seraphim completed the approach, both of you silent in the presence of this decaying beast. Now, as you settle beside it, Seraphim is the first to break the silence. This thing's already dead. He shakes his head. It's a corpse, Sleeper. He nudges the ship closer, looking for a place to dock. I touch this thing too hard, it'll crumble into dust. Yeah, so let's not do that. Seraphim does a little mock salute. Aye, aye. He rolls his eyes. You got any other tips? Take us up there. That's the bridge. Juni points toward one end of the ship, and both you and Seraphim turn around, having forgotten she was even in the cockpit. She hasn't said a word since you departed. She glances at both of your bemused faces. What? She looks away. Sorry, I just... that's where we need to go. She stops pointing. Seraphim nods toward Juni. Well, she's not wrong, Sleeper. That bridge would be a good start. Yeah, assess the wreck first. Well, no, see, this is me going, hey, let's be cautious. That's not this character so much, right? To the bridge, then. Seraphim nods and brings the ship under control. Let's do it. Seraphim takes control of the ship, avoiding the debris field closer to the center of the wreck. He settles in position near a protrusion at the far end. Alright, this is as far as I'll go. Seraphim taps at the anchoring controls. and we should be able to anchor the ship to those plates. You hear Juni begin to protest from behind you, but it's too late. Seraphim fires 2 piton-tipped anchor lines at the nearest solid hull plates. The pitons slam into the plates, and, despite their solid appearance, they instantly shatter. The fragments spin out across the rack, slicing into other plates and building a spiraling storm of debris. Shit. Seraphim nudges the ship back and steadies it as the debris cascades across the surface of the rack. The damage seems mostly superficial, but it underlines just how fragile the derelict is. Okay, let's not do that again. Juni glances between the two of you. The data core will be very fragile. We have to... We've got it, Seraphim snaps. He angrily unclips from his seat. Last thing I need is a backseat driver. He kicks off and glides past her into the corridor. Sorry, Juni. No problem. She smiles a weak smile. We all want the same thing here, right? We'll work it out. You follow Seraphim down the passage, with Juni close behind. As you reach the airlock, he's already angrily suiting up, his frustration evident. I am not going to tell him to take it down a notch, in part because I think doing so will just annoy him and get him more amped up. The rest of the preparation process takes place in tense silence, each of you considering the delicate job ahead. You suit up too. Though you don't need a helmet to breathe, you slide one on and lock the seals for protection. This wreck isn't going to give up its salvage easily. The core should be near the bridge, maybe even inside it, but there's a lot of wreck here, and there might be good salvage tucked away in the cargo hold. Once the suits are on and the seals are checked, you cycle the lock and stare out at the vast expanse of the twisted hulk before you. Time to go to work. Okay, while on a contract, you'll be able to assign 2 dice for each crew member as you would your own. Pay attention to the crew's skills to use them effectively. On certain outcomes, crew will take crew stress. When their stress is full, you'll no longer be able to use them to perform actions. While on a contract, your energy bar will automatically be supplied for each cycle that you have available supplies. When your supplies are depleted, both you and the crew start to take 1 stress per cycle. Contracts also have their own contract stress. When this bar is filled, the contract will fail. Okay, so a sort of a clock. And I assume there are bad things that happen periodically as we keep pushing that bar. So, what do we got here? A corroded airlock. We could attempt to dissect it. Neither one of them is good at engineering at all, so it's a good thing I'm here. Or we could just, force it. The airlock on the derelict is rusted shut. Opening it up is necessary to enter and navigate the wreck's bridge. But what was this other option over here? So there's a cargo access point. We're all terrible at Intuit. Getting into the cargo entry means breaking through the shattered remains of the aft hull. So I could clear the cargo doors. Right, we are plus endure, so if I go 5-6 on this with our 4-6, worst case scenario is a positive and a neutral, right? Which probably gets us almost the whole way there. Getting into the airlock requires a lot more successful pips, so let's give this other entry a try first. Is there any other... No, there's no other points of interest. Okay, yeah, let's see about this. Let's clear out these cargo doors. So, there are layers and layers of broken hull plates. This will require some heavy work. Show me that positive. Okay, we got the neutral. You just gained some stress. As your stress increases, you'll have a higher chance of taking damage to your action dice each time you roll them. Oh, the action dice. Okay, that's what these are. These are the health of the dice. Interesting. But on the neutral result, we still got 2 pips, so when we hit the 6 here, it will definitely get us inside. And in fact, 3 pips. You've cleared a passage into the cargo bay. Time to see what's inside. So we found our way into storage. We can map these bays out, which is a thing that most of us are pretty bad at, but Juni is actually really well suited to. Countless vast bays extend from here deep into the derelict. Scanning and mapping each one will allow you to navigate them safely. Yeah, get started, I guess. So this is only a risky action. What do you get? One die is probably not going to cut it. Let's go ahead and start with this. Let's see what the positive outcome looks like. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. All right, I'm just gonna hope here. Juni, let's see if you can get us to where we're going. Neutral outcome is only 1 point. Shit. And then Seraphin and I are both effectively just able to play ones, which are coin flip to complete the thing, or something bad happens. But we don't have another way forward, right? Without starting this whole bridge entry process. What was my push ability? +1 stress, +2 to lowest crew dice. Okay. So I don't know how to activate that ability, but if I had activated it on Juni and moved that low die up to 5, that would have guaranteed it. I guess I'm going to go ahead and throw a 1 at this, because anything we use on it is effectively a 1 anyway, right? Let's just go ahead and roll the bones here. 50-50. All right, we hit the neutral. Nice. The bays are mapped, and it seems that the deep parts of the ship are in surprisingly good condition. So we have found our way into the deep bays. Deep inside the derelict, there are masses of intact scrap. This is valuable material, but it's also what's holding the ship together. Okay, so the best we have to throw at that is a 4. So it turns out that was none of that was like necessary. We still have to do this part. All right, the engage looks pretty bad, but the engineer is terrible. We didn't open up anything else? We sure didn't. Back on the rig. Okay, we just have the same options as ever. In fact, we don't even have those. So it may be the case that it's better for us just not to spend some of our dice. I'm going to go ahead and put a 3 on this. Okay, neutral outcome gets us a single point. What's a 2? Oops, sorry, I have a little bit of a hand twitch that can't always be predicted. Okay, so 2 is coin flips. We can do better than a coin flip here, but there is the chance of, we have this 25% chance of a negative outcome, and on a risky or on a danger event, that can be really bad. I think I'm going to go ahead and go for it. I'll tell you what, I'm glad I bought the extra supplies. Okay, neutral. So we did stress the thing. The contract stress has triggered a crisis, which will add 1 contract stress per cycle, unless resolved at the crisis location. Okay, but it did get us some distance as well. Forcing the lock is really effective when we can do it. So wait, how is the stressor resolved? Hull breach. The derelict's hull is falling apart. If this breach isn't sealed and fast, the whole damn thing's gonna collapse. Okay, well, it turns out I have a die that's like pretty okay for that. That's rough. During a contract, you can use your push ability once per cycle to give you an edge in a tricky situation. Pushing accrues 1 stress, but will give you a key advantage. You can see your current push configuration if you hold your mouse over the button, and on the character screen, push cannot be used at a hub, but when at a hub, it can be upgraded and configured. Yeah. So, wait, where... So I hold my mouse over... Because obviously we don't want to do it right now. But it said you hold your mouse over the configuration. Oh, there's a button. The push button is up here. It's a small button that's labeled push, so that you know to use it when you want to push. I'm not sure that I want to put up his one. I think it might be an idea to just hold off. Because 1 and 2 are both pretty whack, and if we could use a push to turn that 1 into turn the 2 into a 3, and then put it in a place where it gets a plus, I'd feel a lot better about that. I think as it is, maybe we just take a break for the day. Maybe we've done all the work we're gonna get done. Oof. All right. Not awesome dice here. So let's if I push, see, this is the thing where like the difference between dice and die really matters, and it would be totally awesome if they would just go ahead and not use the word dice to refer to singular dice, even if it is the way it works where you know, in the place they normally speak, because it creates an ambiguity. Is this the lowest die for each crew member, or is it the single lowest crew die among all crew members? Is the question that I have. And unfortunately, there's just kind of no way to know. So this is something we shouldn't expect Juni to help with this. If we want to pull some stuff for profit, which we can do. It's a thing to think about later. Juni's also terrible at sealing up the breach. Oof, boy, this is going to get difficult. All right, I don't know how much longer it's going to take us to force this, but I do think sealing this whole breach up is going to be important. It looks to me like we're going to be here for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and throw my my 4s at this. Try to hit me some positives. Okay, good. Slow process, but the repairs are working for now. Alright, so I could play a 3. Juni's got a 3, effectively. So does Seraphin. And a 3 is 25% negative, right? I'm gonna go ahead and take this swing. Just stress. Okay. Come on, we can get this locked up tonight. All right. At this point, a 2 is 50-50. Yeah. So we don't really have a place where Juni's 1 is useful. A negative on lock dissection is probably going to stress the derelict and push us toward another problem. Gosh, we really just don't have a good place to dispose of 1s here, or like anything good to use them for. What are we doing with your 5? The thing is, Juni's not good at any of this stuff at all. So I guess we're taking this 5 because it's still a 3 here. Juni, tell me you can figure out the seal. Okay, alright. Breach sealed. Breach is sealed. Some damage was done, and we spent an entire day solving it, which is going to be hard in our supplies, but we needed to do that, and I think we just don't roll these other dice. So I think it's too likely that we're just going to make things worse. And even pushing, even if it does affect both of their dice, Seraphine's die getting up to a 3 is still not sufficient for me to want to use it at the door. So I think we're going to go ahead and end cycle. Just ride that cycle, and that really sucks because that's a lot of lost time. Okay, starting to take damage. When your dice are rolled at the start of the cycle, stress dictates if they take damage or not. Higher stress means a higher chance. White markers above the stress bar tell you which numbers will damage your dice when rolled. Oh, okay, yeah, you can see. Here's 1. Here they start taking it at 2. When depleted, the die will break and must be repaired to be used normally. Okay. Well, we pulled some decent dice this time. So let's go ahead and let's use this 6 for sure. All right, 2 points of bridge entry. Good news, good news. I might want to go for just the dissection with these 5s, because the neutral outcome on the lock forcing is what damaged the ship last time, right? You could effectively play a 4 here. What I'm thinking is like, maybe this is a little greedy, but I'm trying to figure out if I can save my 5s for scrapping, because it would be cool to bring some profit home, right? Maybe that's silly. Thing is, I don't think I want to throw a 4 at the lock here, or at forcing the lock. And he's -2 on lock dissection. They're both kind of useless at this part. We gotta get inside. Let's do this. Alright. One more positive outcome, please. You monster. I guess I would rather throw a 4 at this than a 3. Okay, there we go. Lock is open. See, I've got it. Time to move in. The bridge of the derelict lies silent. The pale beams of your suit lamps catch rows of terminals and clouds of glittering dust. Wires wave like seaweed, and the whole scene appears as if underwater. Chaotic, but still. Juni glides past you, disturbing the dust and taking you by surprise as she does. She's been a stoic presence so far, but in this moment, she seems drawn forward by some force of curiosity. You watch as she bats away debris and begins checking terminals. I would love to watch her work. Not directly question her, but keep an eye on what's going on. I'm going to let her work. She's already prying an access panel off one of the more intact-looking terminals. And as she does, puffs of rust color the vacuum around her red. I'm going to approach her. I'm not stopping her necessarily, but I do want to see what she's doing. She turns back to the terminal and finishes prying off the plate. Then, quickly, she reaches inside, fishing around for something. Her hand comes back out with a waving cable topped with a thick connector. As soon as she sees it, she slips a keyboard-sized deck out from somewhere on her person. She runs her hand across the back until she finds the right port and slots in the connector. All of this happens in a few seconds, the routine practiced and precise. It is hard not to be impressed. Hey, nicely done. We'll see, she says, so quietly it seems mostly to herself. Juni's fingers dance across the deck's keyboard, and a burst of static lights up the Solheim terminal screen. The sudden burst of light and color takes you by surprise. Juni's fingers tap away, the terminal's screen flashing with blocks of color and lines of code. It buzzes and vibrates, its long-dead systems forced back into chaotic life. Then, all at once, it goes dark. The terminal is dead. Shit. Juni hisses beneath her breath. Useless. You cannot tell if the insult is directed at the terminal or herself. Well, there are plenty more, right? She looks up at you, a confused expression on her face, then scans around the bridge. I suppose. She pauses. But even from here, I can see most of them are less than scrap. The cradle with the data core can't be far. She pushes off from the terminal, gliding away from you. I'll start looking, she calls back, and heads to the other side of the bridge. Seraphine glides up beside you. Everything all right? Hey, what do you think of Juni? The kid? Seraphine shrugs. You'd know better than me. Keeps to herself. He squints at her retreating form. Seraphine stretches in his suit. I have to admit, it's nice to be back working, especially now that we're the ones who'll reap the benefits. He claps you on the shoulder. Feels good to be taking our fate into our own hands. I know it's pretty rough there, back on Hexport, and out here we're just as likely to get shredded by debris as find the damn data core, but aren't you glad we made a break for it? He pauses and looks down, having asked the question almost by accident. I mean, I am. I don't want to speak for you. Well, yeah, I'm glad too. I'm saying this mostly to bolster his morale. Yeah, you better be. I didn't give up on the little dark side cupboard I was living in for nothing. He laughs at his own joke. Look, once we got a bit of space behind us, once we've gone the distance, if we even manage to get that far, he furrows his brow. Look, don't feel you owe me. I'm no charity case. You want us to go our separate ways, that's fine by me. He meets your eyes. Just do me the favor of telling me to my face. Buddy, that's not going to happen. Seraphine nods, but doesn't respond. He knows more about our relationship than I do. After a moment, he shines his torch out into the dark, checking the rows of terminals all across the bridge. You watch the glittering dust as it eddies in the beam. Seraphine sighs. Well, let's get to it. You watch as he crosses the bridge, his torch probing the dark corners. You feel a chill run through your body as you imagine the people that once ran this ship. The Solheim crew, surely long dead. What was it like here before the collapse, when this system was the jewel in Solheim's crown? It's impossible to know. That history is lost to you now. All you can do is pick what you can from the ruins. Okay, so we've opened up the bridge. We can try to reboot the system, which is a crummy way for us to approach this, but it's something Juni's pretty good at. Rather than hunting old pathways, rebooting selected sections of the ship's systems might reveal the data core's location as it responds. Or, one way to find the ship's data core is to simply track the old pathways through the derelict in hopes of finding the one that connects to it. Yeah, just run all the cables back, right? It's dangerous, but it is a task that I'm a lot better suited to. At this point, we don't have anything except dangerous tasks available to me. It's a shame that interface is so bad for both me and Seraphine. Yeah, a lot of our dice here are pretty dangerous. But we can only afford to wait so long, right? In addition to the supply running down, it's possible for my dice to get damaged out. I might be okay with a 4 on the risky. You know what? I'm gonna push, and we're gonna learn how this works. Okay, it does. It improves improves the lowest die on each crew member. That's actually really, really good news. So this jumps up to a 4, which I'm very okay with. Yeah, that's a good skill. Try this on a risky for sure. Okay, neutral, not bad. And then we'll take Seraphine's 6 over to track the pathways. A nexus of old data pathways is unearthed deep in the derelict and seems to be a relay node for the core. Okay, getting closer. The atrophied systems barely respond to our attempts to reboot, but a few faint pulses suggest possible starting points for the search. And then I have 3 dice left, but I don't think they're safe to use. Yeah, as much as I kind of hate just rolling the dice anew and watching them slowly take damage, I really don't want to attempt a risky with a 1 or honestly, like even a danger with a 4, given how fragile the derelict is. I think let's just rest. Maybe I'm being a little too cautious here. Which, from another point of view, given everything about the situation, is not cautious enough, right? Holy hell, those are bad dice. Wow, those are bad. And pushing again is not a good idea, probably. So, I'm very nervous about this situation. Let's go ahead and try to ram through the reboot. Okay, a strong pulse comes through from deep inside the derelict. That must be the core, but its location is vague and needs triangulating. Well, let's take another swing at it here. Come on, positive. That's a shame. Alright, I think I am willing to put a 5 up on track the pathways. Okay, full positive. Nice, nice. And I have my own 6 with my skill bonus. So we're very close to done with this. Unfortunately, once again, I don't know that I feel safe putting up I certainly don't feel safe putting up a 3. So what am I going to do with this die? I mean, if we push Seraphin's die to a 5, we can get this done today. Ah, what the hell, my dice are gonna get all fucked up, but show me that positive. Alright, no big deal, easy. A little bit of teamwork is all it takes. And so we have discovered our way to the data core cradle. Okay, here we have a negative clock that we have to watch out for. Failures on the stuff will definitely increase this. So the core is fragile, but by rerouting its data connections, we could maybe lift it free without damage, at least in theory. Or we could just cut it free, slicing each connection individually, though the potential for damage is somewhat higher, and I certainly don't want to take a swing with these dice. Now we're taking damage on 1s and 2s, and I just need to roll a lot better than this, I guess, is what it comes down to. And then, you know, there's still, like, the deep bays. I would love to explore more, but that's definitely just like a money-making thing. It is worth noting that Seraphin is terrible at both of these actions, but he's okay at extract raw scrap, so that may be a thing that's happening. All right, I am gonna rest. I don't think it's safe to use 2s on this, so we'll burn through that last point of supplies. We can keep working on this, but we'll gain 1 stress per cycle. So let's just be careful. Alright, here's the critical task. Let's get to work on this. I will absolutely put a 4 into here. Okay. I think I'm going to go ahead and do a push, because that'll get us a pair of 6s for Seraphin on scrap extraction. Let's make us some money on the back end here. And it'll get Juni high enough to take another swing at that other thing. Oh, this causes derelict stress no matter what, even on a positive. Okay. That's interesting. I am going to push. We're going to have Juni go for that. Just try to isolate the core. Okay, real positive. Good, good, good. Now I'm going to take a swing at slicing some of the connections. Okay, a little bit of damage there on a negative, or on the neutral outcome. He and I can both put up a 4. Well, I'd rather take his 4 over here, probably. Okay, having a really hard time hitting these, hitting the lucky rolls on this one. Please show me positive. Okay, neutrals I can take. So 3 has the same odds, right? Yeah, I'll go for it. Positive? Okay. Ooh. Alright. 1 data core. You watch nervously as Juni guides the core out of the cradle. A large ball, almost half your height in diameter, it glides up out of the framework that held it, connections waving loose and cut. Her breathing comes through the suit's comms, loud enough to be picked up, and it fills you with tense energy as you watch. Over the course of this job, you've seen Juni both focused and distracted, nervous and precise, but you've not seen her any more confident than in this moment now. She floats beside the data core, handling it with care and skill, as if it was the vast egg of some endangered bird. She glances up and sees you watching her, and you notice something unfamiliar in her eyes. Something that you have perhaps seen in a passing moment before, only now it is no momentary lapse or change. It is set in place. You see determination. She guides the core a little away from you with one hand, and at the same time comes forward, almost placing herself between you and her prize. And it does seem to be hers, in the way she handles it, the possessive way she screens it with her body. We need to talk. The statement comes flat and deadpan, any nervous tremble gone. Right now. Yeah, okay. Sleeper, she takes a deep breath. I want to be honest with you, but I need to know you won't take this from me. Juni glances around the cradle defensively, but Seraphin is already heading back to the ship to prepare the cargo bay for the core's storage. You two are alone. Okay. Whether or not it's true, the thing to do here is to tell her that I won't. She looks at you hard, trying to read your expression. Karsten doesn't deserve this treasure, Sleeper. Juni glances over her shoulder at the core. Do you know how many of these are left intact? She shakes her head. Then all he wants to do is wipe it clean so he can use it to interface with Hexport. All that data gone. Okay, what do you want? Seems to be pretty important in this moment. I want to extract the data, to make use of it. You see some genuine emotion flicker in her eyes. She sighs. After extracting the data, the core will be unusable. There's a security system that will fry it if data duplication is attempted. I can delay the security response long enough to copy it, but after that, she trails off. Okay, so you've done this before. She looks down. Yes, she meets your eye. This is why I came. Look at this place, Sleeper. She gestures to the cradle room, a dark and twisted cavern of long-dead tech. How many of these places are left? How many chances do we have to recover anything this old, this fragile? Like it or not, we live in Solheim's shadow, in their ruins, and yet we know almost nothing. What chance do we have of understanding how we got here, when others like them, like Senatstadt and Conway, are descending on the system? So, what could we learn from the core? Well, I don't know, Sleeper. That's the point. She gestures around herself. We could learn our history, how this system was settled. We could better learn the technology we build our lives on. We could uncover Solheim's crimes and seek to make amends. She looks at you with pleading eyes. We could see beyond survival, towards something else. You've never heard Juni speak like this. Well, I've known her for about 8 minutes, so... You realize what you have taken for nervousness was actually control. This, the person in front of you, defending a decaying data core with their life, is the real Juni. But then you think of Lane, of the price he likely put on your and Seraphin's heads, and of the feed lines, without which leaving Hexport will be almost impossible. Is this even a choice? Well, let's see if we can get her to maybe work with us a little bit on this. Juni listens carefully as you tell her about the deal with Karsten, the feed lines he offered you, and that both you and Seraphin are on the run. Okay, then I'll help you. Juni doesn't flinch. We find another way to get those feed lines. Karsten's an idiot. I can hack his security and you can pull them out of there. Or Seraphin looks tough. Maybe he can grab them? She looks desperate. We can do it. We can do something. Hey, don't you work for him? I mean, I would like to think our character, like, we did this under the expectation that she didn't work for him, right? That we were helping somebody out who needed a hand up and not making a big deal of it. So I guess that would make this kind of a silly question. I guess the point of this question would be to have her pierce that veil, right? But it's good enough that we both know that it's not really true. You know what? Let's do it. Thank you. Juni looks genuinely moved. This is a gift to all of us, Sleeper. I hope you will see it like that. Mostly what I'm trying to do here is make inroads with somebody who I think is competent and, like, in addition to, like, the moral whatever of what's going on here, just in terms of our long-term survival, Juni seems like a more valuable long-term ally than Karsten to me. Also, potentially like a person who you could trust, whereas I don't know if that would ever be available to us with Karsten. Plus, she's good at the things that we're not good at. Juni turns to the data core, quickly gathering one of its loose connections. She takes out her deck and plugs it in, then crosses her legs and places it across them, floating tethered beside the core. Her fingers begin tapping at the keyboard, teasing out the core's data and whatever Solheim secrets it might contain. As she does, Seraphin enters. He braces himself in the entryway. What's she doing? Juni doesn't seem to notice. Look, I'll explain later. He eyes you suspiciously. Okay, I hope you know what you're doing, Sleeper. He nods toward the core. That's our ticket out of Hexport. Well, Juni will help us. If you say so. You both turn to watch Juni stripping the core of its secrets. A little while later, once the core has been emptied out and its defense mechanism has scorched its seams black, you watch the metallic sphere spinning gently in the room, and wonder if you've just made a terrible mistake. Okay, this contract is concluded. You can leave via the map. The thing is, with this thing being as fucked up as it is, we also could spend another day or so trying to scrap it, right? Obviously, we're all going to take a point of stress. They're both in great shape. I have taken all of the stress on myself. The stress is pretty bad, and I don't know how to fix it. So, it might be that I'm in grim condition here in a way that I won't be able to repair. But I also think we're like a little desperate for money right now. And this is a skill that Seraphin's neither plus nor minus on, and I'm plus on. So the odds of us being able to get at least one or two more pulls with 7 dice between us, I think they're good enough that let's try it. We're going to take damage on 3s now. Or our dice, rather. We're going to take damage on 3s. Okay, we lost one. Broken dice can be repaired at the rig for a cost once the workshop is available. Well, let's hope that's soon. Pretty happy to see Seraphin rolling 5-6. And we rolled 5-5-6. It's actually really good. So let's go ahead and throw in a 5. This is going to damage the derelict enough to set off the next crisis, which we're probably going to ignore. Security system has been jolted into operation. It will continue to purge the system, resulting in the derelict's total collapse. Yeah, I don't think we're staying another day, so let's just go ahead and pull as much metal off of this thing as we can and then leave. Put in my 6. Put in your 6. And then probably also the 5. Let's see what happens here. The derelict's last surviving fuel reserve has burst and is leaking propellant through the ship. If it isn't cleaned up fast, things will get dangerous. Yeah, that seems pretty bad. I am going to go ahead and throw his 5 at it. Okay. We come out with 6 scrap. Hopefully, worth it. How do I... is the leave button here? Because we're done. The leave button is... It's not... No, it's map. Okay, you can travel back to the hub. Once you leave, you will not be able to return. Absolutely leave. Okay, -5 stress during travel. Feeling a lot better, actually. Except for that one die that totally shattered. As you arrive into Hexport, Juni speaks up from the back of the cockpit. We're gonna have to act fast if we want to take those feed lines. You and Seraphim exchange glances. You're both still getting used to this new Juni. We? Seraphim raises an eyebrow. Only one of us fried the core and stole all its data. And for some reason, we let you. Because it was the right call. And you know what? I'm not debating the right and the wrong of it. Look, this is the situation we're in now. We can make this work. Yeah, what I'm wondering, Sleeper, is why we have to. Seraphim looks infuriated. I don't think Karsten's going to take kindly to the idea that we brought someone pretending to work for him on the job and let her have his prize. He points at Juni like she's an object. Is there a particular point that you use for objects? Do you even know what she's up to? Juni looks between the two of you. Hexport hasn't exactly been kind to me. You two trusted me even though I didn't deserve it. And I'm not used to that, and I want to repay it. It was so obvious, right? It just felt like the situation. Not to mention, Karsten is probably ripping you off. Even if you get enough cryo, what's to say he won't raise the price? Trust me, he's no good. I was trying to deal with Karsten to get those derelict coordinates from the moment I arrived here, and he ran me in circles. She shakes her head. Seraphim is watching her closely. Okay, even if I do take you at your word, which, given everything, seems a little tough, how do we even do this? You're telling me we just drift in there and take the feed lines? Look, I get it. You don't trust me. She pauses. But what if I have a vested interest in this working out? This is smart. She's smart. You know, there's nothing left for me here. And I don't much feel like hanging around waiting for Karsten to figure out my involvement in all this. I need safe passage, and you need the feed lines to grant it. She allows herself a smile. See where I'm going with this? Seraphim sighs. Yeah, I don't like it, but it makes sense. Alright, what do you think, Sleeper? Hey, we all get something. Exactly, Juni smiles. Let me prepare. I'll head to Factory Row, scope the place out. Meet me there, and we can work out a plan. She glances between the two of you. Trust me, we can find a way. We'll keep it simple. Clean. Yeah, simple is good. Agreed, Seraphim cuts in. His dark look betrays his concerns. I'll go scope out the bay we need in Factory Row. We should split up. Less likely for Karsten to suspect us. Meet me there in a few, and we can finish setting up. Juni unclips from her seat, floating. I want to show you I can be trusted, that we can do this. She looks between the two of you. Believe that, please. And with that, she slips away down the passage towards the airlock and Hexport beyond. You look at Seraphim. I'm saying nothing, Sleeper. He unclips from his seat, too. Either this is the kind of mess you have to go through to get out the other side, or it's the kind that you never escape. Either way, we're in it now. He leaves the cockpit. You stare at the chaotic lights of Hexport and wonder if anything in the Starward Belt ever runs smoothly. Okay, so we have a lot to do here. We are in terrible shape, but we did like that. We gained exactly the right amount of stress to get down to no permanent harm done to our stress levels, at least, by that job. I think this feels like a pretty good place to call it for today, though. Hey, we actually got some work done. We engaged with some new systems. I'm pretty excited about this, actually. I think that was really neat, and I'm excited to get to do a bunch more of those. So, this is going to be where we call it for today, and thank you all so much for watching. When you come back next time, we have to figure out how to get those fuel lines, and then how to get the hell out of here before we all get turned into space pulp. And we'll see you then.